Westchester Magazine's People Before Politics show.
Black on black.
Follow Damon and
black.
AJ tonight at 6 p.m. on Black Westchester Magazine's People Before Politics. Stay informed, stay engaged, and see the world through a different lens. It's the news with the black point of view. Black-owned, black-operated, and not like the others that are just black jobs.
Black on black.
22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. Today, look around America. We see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it.
Peace and blessings, everybody. This is Damon K. Jones here. I am the publisher of Black Westchester Magazine, and thank you for tuning in on another Sunday as we talk about the news with the black point of view. My partners will be coming on a little later, so it's danger zone time because I have the mic to myself. I have the mic all to myself. So first, I want to apologize to people that's on X. We're having a little technical problem, but we'll go live back with the show later on today once we figure everything out for the people that watch on X. So you could catch us live on Facebook. You could catch us live on YouTube. You could catch us live on Instagram, and you could catch us live on X. And all the people that's watching from Instagram, peace and blessings to everybody that's watching on all the platforms. We try to get on all the platforms. But first, we have to say our condolences. As we said our condolences yesterday, officially saying our condolences yesterday to the Honorable Herman Keith, who was the first black county legislator, but actually him and Ernie Davis was elected at the same time. But at that time, Herman Keith was more well known throughout the community of Yonkers and throughout Westchester. So they really recognize him as the first black county legislator. And if you want to hear Ernie Davis and you want to hear Mr. Dowdy and you want to hear Marvin Church, come on. They came on the show last week and they talked about the impact of the Honorable Herman Keith. And I was honored to speak before the family. Listen, man, we have to really, really, really pay attention to our elders but the real thing is a lot of them that fought in the civil rights era, fought in the Black Power era, opened doors for us. Those that opened doors, those that opened doors, they opened doors for us. So we really have to pay our respect. I was disappointed that I didn't see younger black politicians from throughout Westchester there. I was welcome, Dr. Bob. I was kind of disappointed that I didn't see younger black politicians at the memorial service for Herman Keith, even though it was a lovely service. There was a lot of laughter. Herman Keith touched so many people in so many different ways. And as I said at the memorial, you know, for Black correction officers, for Black people that worked for the county, Herman Keith was an assistance for us to fight bigotry and racism. His son named it, is called the Inside Outside. And I didn't even know Herman Keith had a name to it, where him being on the inside was inside of the actual workings of the government, was actually helping people that was on the outside. And I think, and he did his job well, because, you know, when we first started the correction, the Westchester, not the West, it was called the Correction Guardians at that time. When Sergeant Cardin, for those who are watching, Sergeant Cardin was the president of the Correction Guardians at that time. And, you know, racism, it always existed in the Department of Corrections. Don't let them fool you, talking about we light blue and dark blue and all that other craziness. Racism exists, and it still exists today. There's just a lot of young Black officers don't recognize it. They think they got that job because of themselves. They got that job because there was a lot of Black officers that struggled to make sure that Black people got that job, and also that Black people were able to take the test and get picked. And Herman Keith played a role in that. He played a role for Black people getting jobs there. You know, and let's not forget the jail is named after a Black man, Norwood E. Jackson. It's not the Westchester County Jail. It's the Norwood E. Jackson Correctional Facility. And sooner or later, somebody's going to put respect on that man's name up there. Anyway, I'm getting off the track, but it was a great event. Bob, you live in Yonkers, man. Was you aware of Herman Keith?
So I've really learned of Herman Keith's contribution since we've been really involved in local politics. As a result of just doing some background research, I'd heard of Herman Keith. So I knew he played a significant early role. And I can tell you that I was aware of the memorial service and of the significance that a lot of residents in Yonkers and throughout Westchester County attributed to his tenure in the county legislature, of the county legislature. So, I mean, I know you've met my friend Harold McCoy II. You all had a chance to speak very briefly yesterday. You may not recall, but I know he had an opportunity to meet you. So yeah, I mean, listen, I mean, although I arrived late, I will say this much, that the fact that there has been such limited public appreciation of Herman Keith's contributions to the local struggle here in Westchester County, I think speaks volumes to the disconnect between generations and the overall lack of historical knowledge. Now, I learned of the man recently, but the fact that we're still like recovering the struggles of the historical struggles of the generation before us says a lot about where we are at.
Exactly.
Not at.
Exactly.
It's really stunning, to be honest with you, because none of this stuff is going to be turned around without some sort of role for legislators and our government. We don't want to make up the laws on the fly. If we want the advancements of Black people to be institutionalized, then that will mean that we have to have laws that reflect that. And so, in that sense, I think he
absolutely. And I think it was really profound when Ernie came on last week, Ernie Davis, because for people that don't know, Ernie Davis was also in the county legislature when Herman Keith was there. And as I said earlier, they both won at the same time, but Herman Keith was more well known throughout the county than Ernie, and Herman Keith basically took Ernie underneath his wings and showed him the ropes. And Ernie said yesterday, and he said last week, if it wasn't for Herman Keith pushing him to go to the doctor, he wouldn't have been alive today because they thought he had cancer. And right. So, you know, that was profound. But what was key was Ernie last said it, and Mr. Dowdy said it, that their goal at that time was to have a black agenda. Like, we don't hear talk like that no more. Having a black political agenda within Westchester County, we don't hear that talk anymore. And that's why they did such extraordinary work, because they had a black agenda, or they was trying to build a black agenda for black people in Westchester County, you know, for us to be on an equal level as our white counterparts. Also, we lost another we lost another star among the struggle, the Honorable Sheila Jackson Lee. And for those who, I just had it. What did I do with it? I was just going to read something about her real quick. And I think I actually deleted it. Just real quick, I wanted just to read. She was born on January 12, 1950 in Queens, New York. Jackson Lee was among the first women to graduate from Yale University and served as a Houston judge and a city councilwoman before she was elected to represent the Texas 18th Congressional District in 1994, unseating a Democratic incumbent in the primary in the Houston area. During Jackson's congressional tenure, she was very outspoken, advocate for progressive interests and black people. She was one of the sponsors of the legislation to establish Juneteenth as a national holiday, frequently spoke out against police brutality, and advocated federal legislation to prosecute police misconduct. She was widely admired among the progressives for her opposition to the Iraq War and was a fierce critic of Donald Trump. She opposed the tallying of electoral votes certifying Trump in his 2016 election. Although she was unsuccessful in some of her most ambitious aims, Jackson Lee remained an advocate for racial justice, particularly in the wake of George Floyd's killing at the hands of police in 2020. At the time of her death, she was chief deputy whip for the House Democrats and vice chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus. She formerly served as the whip of the Congressional Black Caucus. So we send our respect to this sister that was out here doing the work for the people. And it goes back to saying, brother, we are losing a lot of our older soldiers. And the question is, are we going to be able to replace them with the type of politician that we have now, who will rather take AIPAC dollars, you know, instead of being pro-black?
That is the question, brother. That is the question.
You know what I'm saying? Like we are we are in a conundrum, Black people, because a lot of those people, you know, are passing away. And what are we going to do? What are we going to do when all these people pass away, and we're not filling the gap with younger, outspoken, unapologetic Black representatives? I think we're in a bad condition, and we don't see it. And let me tell you, what upset me. Well, it didn't upset me, but it just made me just sit there and think yesterday at Herman Keith's memorial, where, you know, George Latimer was there, right? And he talked about Herman being the first, and Herman opened doors, and Herman fighting for his people. But yet you accused Jamal Bowman of doing the same thing, like it was wrong in your debates. So if it was okay for Herman, it should have been okay for Jamal to look out for Black and brown interests, because that was Herman's main goal, to look out for the people in his community, and the people in his Yonkers community. The district that he represented was majority Black and brown. So why was it a bad thing for Jamal? See, we're seeing a lot of hypocrisy in the Westchester politics, and the fact that you could say that, but then you could just dismiss us having a first Black congressman. Like, I don't understand. Does anybody else see it? Or maybe I need some medication.
Damon, let me say this, man. Look, as much as I love, support, admire Congressman Bowman, I think that he made strategic.
Oh no.
I want to be clear about something, because it's an analogy does not hold. The congressman was the congressman of the entire 16th district. It encompassed both Black and brown communities and white majority communities. Herman Keith, on the other hand, was the legislator for a, presumably, and I don't know, here I go out on a limb, but I'll say, for the Black, a Black majority district here in Yonkers. And so I think, and he comes enters onto the political scene at a different moment. And so, you know, people need to forcefully advocate for Black and brown folk. I don't know how that readily translates into a critical framework for us to understand exactly, fully, what happened in the last primary.
No, well, I'm comparing it to the fact that, yes, his district was a bigger district, but should that be a crime?
No, it shouldn't be a crime.
Exactly.
For Black and brown people shouldn't.
And that's my point. And that's my point. It should have never been. But we understand what that was for. But now, moving forward, that he won, right? You have to hold your rhetoric. You got to hold what you said, because it is documented. That's all I'm saying. He's gonna have to hold that. And when he speaks out of line, or when he speaks about a Black politician looking out for Black and brown people, just because it's good, decent rhetoric for the day, we got to understand what you did. And it's really not for us to discuss. It's for the people to discuss.
No, Damon, it is for us to discuss because the people is lost. Please. People don't know what the hell is going on. It's one of the problems today. Please do not discount you or me. Please, brother. People need some leadership.
Listen. No. And that's the whole thing. There is, and listen, brothers and sisters, do not get me wrong, man. But there is that we have to have a backbone when it comes to our people's issues. We have to. We have to, because let me and I'm going to be honest with you. This week will be my 56th birthday.
Yeah,
right?
Hold
on. Let me see if I got it. Yeah. My 56th birthday. Right? And let me tell you, since 9 years old, Black communities hasn't changed in Westchester. They haven't changed. White communities have changed. White Plains, look at White Plains wasn't close to this when I was 9 years old. Black communities haven't changed. If anything, they got worse.
Yes. My sense is things have gotten worse.
Exactly.
So now, Vernon, for example.
Well,
I'm
exactly.
confident in saying that.
Exactly. So the question is this: what are we voting for? Because I'm 56. Black communities haven't gotten better. In Westchester County, they haven't gotten better. A certain group of people got paid, but the community in the entire it hasn't gotten better. They still look the same. Ferris Avenue still look the same. Lake Street still look the same. Warburton still look the same. Ravine still look the same. 4th Avenue still look the same. Gramerton still look the same. Manhattan Avenue still look the same. Downtown Peekskill still look the same. Osland still look the same. Now y'all can say, yeah, I would love to argue. Who think I'm saying anything wrong, but it's true. White communities are building. So I mean, we have to do something, and those who even made it try to get it to be any better, right? They're gone. They're leaving us. Hey Charles, AJ's gonna be little ladies out there celebrating a friend's birthday. You know, he's having some fun. He's having some fun. But we have to have that conversation, man. Like we got to be willing to have that conversation. You know, you say they don't know, but I mean, sometimes, Bob, man, we over our 400th show, and sometimes it get repetitive. And saying the same thing every year. But the big news tonight, Brother Bob, is Joe Biden passed the torch to Kamala Harris.
I'm very pleased.
Yes, he had to. He had no choice. You know, they started really going public with private conversations to force him out. You know, big shout out to Kamala. I wish her luck. But she still has to go to the convention. And I wish I would have downloaded the video of AOC. where she said that there are talks in circles that they don't even want Kamala. The polls, whether we believe in them or not, still has Kamala down a couple of points against Trump at this point. But I really think part of that is for the last 2 weeks, you know, the growing calls for Biden to step down got louder and louder and louder. And I think that really pushed the numbers a little down for Kamala. But also it was kind of crazy because, and I tried to find, without us getting kicked off or something, I wanted to play a CNN report where they went down to Georgia, and they went to a couple of different Black-owned restaurants, and Black people didn't want Kamala. They asked them whether you have Kamala or Biden, and they all chose Biden. It was very disturbing. Black women.
Well, I mean, I guess the issue is why. I mean, and let me offer one explanation that Joe Biden's nearly 50-year-long record of in the Senate and as vice president, now president, especially recently, offered significant substantive advances for the Black community. I know many people in the Black community don't seem to be willing, either do not recognize this or refuse to acknowledge it, but I think that's in fact the case.
Well, no, that's what they said. That's what they say.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
I am saying that.
All right.
As someone, as a student of the Black freedom struggle, who can put legislative programs in an historical perspective, I can tell you that this was advanced. I will give you an example of a way that this is advanced. Recently, I learned during my research that I regularly do that the Black political scientist, the first Black political science, the first Black person to get a PhD from Harvard in political science, who's Ralph Bunche, was hired as a consultant by the Republican Party in the 1930s to help them diagnose their fall in support in the Black community with the rise of FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and the New Deal program in response to the Great Depression. And basically what Bunche recommended to them is that you have to adopt programs that address the real economic interests of Black people. And one of the things he suggested, this is like we're talking about the late 1930s, early 1940s, is healthcare. Healthcare. So the fight for healthcare has been ongoing now for damn near a century. And the Republican Party has stood adamantly stand fast against any kind of policies that are going to help Black people. You want me to tell you why? Because they got the slave owners public policy mentality. They want to treat you like you are ex-slave. Give you fucking 5 pounds of oatmeal for a whole year and some rucksack to walk around on and expect Black people to support them for that shit. That's their fault. So, you know, listen. And Joe Biden, in some respects, although incremental.
Yeah, very, very incremental because he sponsored the crime bill.
Listen, I want to keep it real because I think there's such, I'm going to say, intellectual dishonesty around this whole issue. And I'm going to start with me. I sold crack. I was out on the streets of Mount Vernon selling crack like it was on a fire sale. I was there with everyone. I could tell you the amount of crack that we used to sell out there, the amount of violence that accompanied that, And as a result, I was shot. And you want me to tell you what? When I was shot, my people didn't want me to be at home with them because they were scared to death. So we can, if we're honest, we can say the response of the political establishment, which was not just the Democratic Party. It was the Republican Party that was the impetus behind all of the big crime bills that we had in the 1980s, 1990s, using Willie Horton and other anti-Black ads to push Democratic Party to adopt these programs, and they may have been too much. I'm happy to
no, they were definitely.
The idea that somehow or other we didn't need to have
but they were definitely
policy response to the amount of drug dealing that was just wanton and out of control, and the violence is just, it doesn't make any sense to me.
No. Well, the violence, the crime and violence, but it was a solution to arrest it away, and you can never arrest crime away. You can't arrest crime away.
That is true. You want me to tell what you can't do in the United States of America? You can't start a job policy to help those who are chronically unemployed, because the Republican Party and as a whole and conservative Democrats in more swing districts have historically been opposed to it. But we're not being honest. If we sit here and act like both parties have equal responsibility for the plight that we find ourselves in as a country, this is a totally distorted, inaccurate understanding of American political history.
We don't think what
happened.
Wait, what I'm saying is, you're saying both parties do or both parties don't?
What I am saying is that the Republican Party bears disproportionate responsibility for the major problems that we have in the United States today, from an excessive reliance on criminal justice in order to address the social problems that have been festering in communities of color, largely that turn around a lack of employment. That is the Republican Party, who does not want to adopt unemployment, doesn't want to adopt, does not want to adopt a central planning for our economy so that we can really address these issues, refuses to fund any kind of programs to enhance people's skill level. I mean, these guys are
wait a minute,
ridiculous.
Bob.
It's ridiculous.
Bob, let me ask you a question. We in New York. We in New York.
Yes. We are in New York.
A Democratic run city. And you don't see, come on, bro. Let's
listen.
They both.
No, that is not true. That is not true.
Because
that is not true.
Hold on, stop.
It's not true.
Hold on. It was Biden predators. It was Hillary Clinton calling black men predators. Come on, man.
Hold on.
No. Stop. I let you talk.
Where is the catalog of Republicans who have made the
listen.
crime the central issue since 1972?
Listen, bro. What did you listen?
Michelle Alexander's book.
Hold on. I let you talk. Now you're gonna let me talk. I let you talk. Michelle Alexander's book blamed both. Not only that, Michelle Alexander in the new Jim Crow even blamed black politicians because they didn't fill the gap what they were supposed to do. No. So, and this goes back to what I was saying in the beginning. When you put black people in places, they're supposed to act.
Look.
And even the new Jim Crow. Listen, you ain't gotta. Wait, hold on. Let me finish. Let's
relate it to statements that you make today.
Let me finish.
No. I'm gonna say something now.
You gotta let me
finish. Today, you are critical of soft on crime policies. You publicly suggested that our political establishment needs to revisit bail reform, for example. You've been critical about calls to defund the police. While you are adamant that we should have fair policing, we also need to have...
No. Listen, first of all, I never said defund the police.
I didn't say that's not what I said. You said I said you were critical. Damon, that's not what I just said. I just said you were critical of calls to defund the police. That's what I just said.
because defunding the police.
Right, that's my point.
No, because defunding the police is not the issue. It's allowing police to do the jobs they're not trained to do. See, we get caught up with these little slogans and sayings that they throw on police reform.
Yes,
and it makes me mad when politicians run with that just to get some people's votes. And it doesn't change the problem. We have police doing jobs they're not supposed to do. They're not trained to do. And this is why we end up with Eric Gardner's. This is why we end up with a Kenny Chamberlain. This is why we end up with these issues. And in New York specifically, we're dealing with a whole bunch of mental health issues, and police are not trained to deal with mental health. So they don't know how to de-escalate mental health crisis situations. And they end up either hurting somebody or killing somebody. So let's stop with the defund the police. And let's find different ways for police to respond to these situations. They shouldn't be responding. But guess what? They created that ecosystem. Because they closed down all the psych hospitals under Cuomo and all that. So what they do, police is always the last reserve. So we have to have honest conversations and instead of getting all into this stuff. And let me explain to you something about bail reform. How do you have bail reform and you don't have nothing for these people to go to? They work backwards. So you keep them out of jail to do what? To do what, Bob?
I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know.
So guess what?
I'm trying to figure out what to do.
Right. So guess what happens? They go back committing crimes.
They
go back and see, and the sad thing about it, it's always our communities. And then our communities never get any type of rest. Never get rest. So we'll continue to look at this thing backwards. And yes, I've been saying it. I've been saying it for a long time. But we don't listen because we get caught in these slogans. It's just like they're talking about Cop City. Oh, well, they're building a big police thing. Well, if you're training 4,000 cops to graduate, where are you going to train them at? Where are you going to train them? You're going to train them in a garage? They have to have the proper facility to train them. You go to New York City Police Academy, it looks like an FBI structure. So is that a cop city? They graduate 4,000 cops in one graduation. We have to stop getting emotional about a lot of these issues and look at it logically. But then you have some politicians that just feed into the nonsense. Because they want to raise money or they just want to get elected, but they don't change anything. How do we have black mayors and still have police brutality? How do we have black commissioners and still have police brutality? This is ridiculous. We should be in charge of our own futures. But we put people in place that don't do anything. And then we keep them there. And then we want to blame Republicans. I ain't seen a damn Republican in Mount Vernon for 50-something years. Ain't no Republicans, and I said this before. When I lived in Mount Vernon, it wasn't no Republican pissing in my hallway and breaking in my goddamn car.
That may be true, but the ability of your local elected official to adopt policies is constrained by the political forces at the state level and at the federal level. And it's just, the federal
government does not keep them from passing the Civilians Complaint Review Board. The federal government does not keep them to make sure that their damn police department is fully staffed. The federal government does not keep them from making sure wait, hold on, making sure that their officers abide by the policies, procedures, and training of the department. The federal government doesn't do that. The federal government comes in when they don't do it.
All right, for one, what the federal government does do is it provides a significant amount of funding for many of the services that municipalities administer, including the significant funding for our law enforcement officers. That's number one. What the federal government also does do, the Department of Justice does do, is monitor the conduct of local police departments and intervene when there is a hue and a cry over some blatant act of misjustice. For example, the city of Mount Vernon just recently, was subject to some sort of oversight. What is the name of the agreement, Damon? When the federal
the consent decree?
Right, the consent decree.
When did they get the consent decree?
It was just recent. It was during the Biden administration.
No. They haven't got the consent decree yet. They were announced that they were being investigated.
They were being investigated,
right,
for the purpose of making a determination whether there was any systematic misconduct, and then perhaps a consent decree. The important thing, though, because we're talking now, what is the relationship between our state, federal government, and the local government? It's important for us to know that federal administrations, as they alternate between Republicans and then Democrats, take a different stance on the role of the federal government in policing local police and the use of such instruments as consent decrees. Republican administrations have generally been hostile to the use of the Department of Justice to police local police. And you could hear the resentment. Pull up Nick. Nick probably right now, if he's watching, he's posting 1,000 things about don't do that. You know, we don't want the federal government intervening. But that's their role, and that's the way that they do help to create the conditions on the ground. So there's a connection here.
No, there is a connection, but it all starts with your department, right? You would think, right? You would think, if you don't want the feds to come in, right? If you don't want the feds to come in, you wouldn't do the things that you do, right? But see, a part of the problem is that there hasn't been no oversight in so many years. It was business as usual. You know, that's what happened in Yonkers. It was just business as usual. Like, you know, you stay on the street. You know, even when I worked in the jail, in booking, you walk by a cell, you see a guy all lumped up. You say, "Oh, well, oh, you came from Yonkers." You didn't have to. It was just an automatic, right? To the point that we had to start. Right, to the point that corrections.
The city of Yonkers Police Department is notorious for its abuse of people of color. And these are conversations that we regularly have about how you will get your ass whooped messing with one of these Yonkers police officers. And how they used to go down there and beat the shit out of people, and everyone knew. We all knew this was going on.
Well, I mean, look, you knew it was going on, but nobody wanted to talk. Right? It got so bad that we had to, in corrections, take pictures of them when they came in to protect ourselves. Because what would happen is when the guy would go to court and the judge would see him all lumped up, he would blame the police, and then Yonkers police used to blame corrections. So we had to start taking pictures of them when we booked them to protect ourselves. And then it got out of control. And then the feds finally came in. But, you know, we could big up Karen Edmondson, former president of NAACP, because she literally had to go to these people, fill out a police report, have them submit it to Yonkers, make a copy, and then submit it to the DOJ for about 100 times for them to look at to see that there was a problem. So at the end of the day, regardless, it's up to City Hall, it's up to the police management to hold their officer accountable. Like the government is the last straw. And it's up to the people, because you vote these people in time and time again.
I mean, here's one explanation for why Democratic administrations in our big cities have been slow to take on the police departments and the police unions, right? One reason, two reasons. Police unions are very influential in local elections, especially in the bigger cities, where they are an interest group in their own right that must be contended with. And the possibility of having the police union oppose your candidacy can really temper a person from adopting the kind of policies that they think would offend police for the sake of trying to bring greater justice. Another one, let's just be clear, is because they know the police are themselves, how shall I put this, are quick to disregard the law when it's in their own interest, and to use the power of their badge to engage in activities that no one else could. And for me, the example here is the police riot that occurred under David Dinkins' administration, which really,
which was fueled by
Giuliani.
Giuliani and his karma. Look, and he's getting his karma right now.
And those are real forces, though, that, I mean, really, we are in such a treacherous moment in American history, because, and this is what I'm going to tell, all of this is about is the following. The Republican Party does not have a program that is capable of addressing the economic needs of the American people without raising taxes, adopting more laws and regulations that intervene in people's lives, and otherwise violating their most sacred principles. So they don't know how to square that circle. And in order to win the support of Black people, they must adopt programs like that. And so instead, and this goes back to the 1960s. I mean,
you're absolutely right. But they will never do that. If I think, you know what, Black people want to integrate everything but the Republican Party. They want to make white folks, let me tell you something. Black people want to make white folks respect them on every level. They'll go in and be disrespected and buy Gucci bags and all that, like Jim Jones. He's spending $6,000, $7,000, $10,000, $20,000, and he disrespected by the salesperson. And to prove them that he is on better, he'll still buy $20,000 of Gucci bullshit from the Gucci store, and he's disrespected. We have forced ourselves with integration into white restaurants that didn't want us, didn't even want our money, white hotels that didn't want us, didn't want our money, white businesses that was forced by the government to give us Black jobs. But we will not force ourselves in the Republican Party.
I think you really must do an in-depth review of the history of the relationship between black people
of the
and the
relationship,
Republican Party.
Listen, oh no, wait a minute. Regardless of the relationship, we was hit by holes and police and just to sit at a counter. So all of a sudden we scared to go into the Republican Party and take it over. They're not smart.
Well, I mean,
they're not intelligent.
Well, to become a part of it.
No, look, and this is why the Democrats take black folks for granted.
Damon, look,
and that's why they take them.
That's not what has happened. That is not what happened in the United States of America.
Listen,
black people were driven out of the Republican Party.
But that still doesn't. That still is not an excuse for what I said. Because we are not getting justice from either party.
Okay, you want me to tell you what? I mean, I will offer. I just want to go back to this because the Republican Party, black people are not in the Republican Party because white people don't want black people in the Republican Party.
White people don't want us in their businesses, but we still go and shop.
That is true, but that's because my money has to be legally accepted anywhere. As a general matter, we don't exclude
write a check to the Republican, he'll take it.
Damon, I would really.
I'm just trying to tell you, money's free,
but
bro.
you want me to tell you what? The Republican Party has demonstrated historically, through the historical actions that they undertook, which have brought us to this moment, that they don't want black people in the party. And if you like, I will cite a little bit more.
But what I'm saying is, at the end of the day, if black people don't diverse in different parties, we will never be respected from none of them. We the only ones. We the only ones. Cubans, Hispanics, they diverse. When you go to your financial advisor, what does he tell you? He said, don't put all your money in one account. You have to diversify.
But he also discourages you from putting your money into junk bonds. The Republican Party is a political junk bond for black people. In 1960, listen, let's be clear. The Republican Party historically was the vehicle through which black people expressed their political and electoral interests. The question is, how did that no longer become the case? And in 1958, 53% of black people cast a vote for Dwight Eisenhower it must have been 54. It was in 54, Dwight Eisenhower's last election. 53% of the black electorate voted for the man. So, but you want me to tell you what? White Republicans, white conservative, rabid Republicans, you already know. You already know what I want to say.
Listen, man.
They don't want, and you want me to tell you why? Because it was figures like Dwight Eisenhower who took the South to task and said we can no longer condone racial segregation, Jim Crow that you guys have instituted because we cannot win the battle for the hearts and minds of black people across the world in our competition with communism. And so Republicans, they resent the federal government. They don't want the federal government to do shit. They don't want to do shit for black people. And if you want to get a good taste of how this works, read some of the statements that Jackie Robinson, who was the last great black Republican activist, made in 1964, when there was an effort to keep black Republican activists who really have worked in the party for decades in the party. The newly insurgent Wallace voters, operatives, drove the man out. And he said this is what Jackie Robinson said after the 1964 Republican convention in San Francisco. After I attended the Republican Party convention this year, I knew what it felt like to be a Jew in Nazi Germany, in Berlin during the height of the rise of Nazism. The Republican Party, their backbone is a bunch of fucking crackers. That's who their backbone is.
So
in his 1964 book, I'm just starting to read it. The agony of the GOP.
What would you say about what would you say about Malcolm's statement about the white liberal?
I think Malcolm is wrong. And I think that's a problem. I think one of the problems with Black people is that the received historical wisdom is there's no difference between a white liberal, a white conservative, a Republican, a Democrat. We really don't seem to have a clear historical understanding and how do you make that determination?
Because we don't you know why they make the determination like that? Because we don't win. We don't win.
Damon, Black people can't win let us say, how shall I say? Black people are never going to be able to win all of what they want because you only make up 20, we only make up about 15% of the electorate in the United States. How could Black people call all the shots? We cannot.
Well, it's not even.
We can't call all the shots.
It's not. It's not even calling on the shots. We've taken ourselves out the political process because we don't participate in it.
That's right. Because things might be different if motherfuckers would have got off their ass and got out and voted. I don't want to hear shit about. No, I want to talk about Black people's lack of responsibility and taking the moment that we live in seriously.
Yo, but you actually
3,000 Black people in Mount Vernon don't vote. Black people need to look at themselves. It's ridiculous. 10% of the Black vote. Are you kidding me? Yo, this has been going on for the entirety of our history. This is a problem. We're not engaged. We keep on acting like we are, and we're deluding ourselves. We are deluded. We're a deluded people, Damon. Yeah, please get AJ on, man. I can't do this. Yo, I'm gonna freak out here, man. This is not serious. We are not serious.
Yo. But you're absolutely right, Dr. Bob. You're absolutely right. You know, and we have to get to the point. And it's up to us. At the end of the day, it's up to us, and we have to recognize.
I want to be clear. The Republican Party, the backbone of the Republican Party, is a bunch of fucking crackers, y'all. They're crackers. They are crackers. And you want me to tell you what? That is a reality we must accept. The Democratic Party used to be a bunch of fucking crackers. They were the Dixiecrats. And for 50 years after the Civil War, they fought tooth and nail to prevent any advances on the part of the Black community. And the Republican Party has now taken over that role. We don't even need to talk about them. We don't need to talk about them. You go, yo, I'm telling you, you read the history, you will see it plain as damn black and white. And as I was saying before, Robert Novak, you remember Robert Novak, Damon?
Yeah.
I don't know if Novak passed away yet. Very, very popular, well-respected, conservative Republican journalist and activist. He writes the book in the 1960s, The Agony of the GOP, and he says the Republican Party has now become the white man's party. It's taken over. That used to be the title of the Democratic Party. They were the white man's party. They used to declare it. The Republican Party is now the white man's party. The Republicans don't want nothing to do with Black people unless you're gonna.
So Bob, where do we fit in? Where do we? Because are we having an illusion that the Democratic Party don't have racism in it?
No, we're not having an.
No, I'm just asking the question.
No, look, really, if you were to really examine the historical evolution of the parties, you would reach the following conclusion: that in the 1960s, during the civil rights movement, there is a resorting or reshuffling of the parties. And the conservative white Democrats, the so-called Dixiecrats, go over to the Republican Party, along with all of the mostly white electorate in the South. A considerable part of the most conservative elements of the party switch over. There's a turnover, and the more liberal Republicans and conservatives who reject. There's nothing that racism in the Democratic Party is not comparable. It's not comparable to what is going on in the Republican Party. The Republican Party had an opportunity. You know, there's a funny thing to go back to Vice President Harris. Number one, I want everyone to know this. The current administration has identified itself as the Biden-Harris administration. That's no mistake. It's the first time in living memory that I know of that the administration took the designation of both of its executive officers, and that was for a reason. It was to give a feeling of symbolic inclusion to Black people. But the Republican Party had the and I will note that many Blacks have said, "Oh, this is tokenism and blah blah blah." And, you know, you make your pick of VP for strategic reasons, so that you can build those alliances. But you want me to tell you what didn't happen? We didn't get tokenism from the Republican Party. It was happy to trot around Tim Scott, Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, and Byron Donaldson of Florida, and all these other Black people, as if they were in contention for the VP sweepstakes. But you want me to tell you what? They passed over them and treated them truly like the tokens that Black people who are Republicans are today. And they passed over a Latino man. They passed over Rubio. Rubio was in serious.
I knew. Listen, let me tell you something.
Damon.
Wait, hold on.
They made a choice to go with a white nominee.
I knew anybody that has common sense knew
what
that Rubio was a good kid.
No, if anyone had common sense, they knew that the Republicans was not serious about having a Black VP. They couldn't even win.
He destroyed Rubio last time. They didn't have it. But see, the sad thing is here's the sad thing, right? And I was watching CNN, and then when I was watching the RNC, it dawned on me. The Republican Party is the Trump Corporation. He has his children in strategic positions in the national RNC. Trump hustled the Republican Party. It is the Trump Corporation. It's a Trump Corporation. And we're watching a complete hustle. Forget about the racism. We know it's there, right? We are looking at a hustle. One of the biggest, I'm telling you, Bob, we're going to get old, and there's going to be a documentary that's going to come out how Trump hustled the RNC and literally made it another corporation, another Trump corporation. He hustled it. They did another report on how the RNC pays Trump to have their events at Mar-a-Lago. He is hustling. It's a fucking hustle. Right before our eyes, it's a hustle. It's one of the biggest hustles we've ever seen in our life. And we're caught up in this political racism and this and that, and we're overlooking the fact that this man has hustled the Republican Party and America. He's hustled them. It's crazy. When I was watching all the little different Trumps and the positions that they have, I said he took over. He will never leave the Republican Party. You're gonna have to kiss his ass till he dies, because if you're a Republican, you have no choice. Now Rubio, I know he wasn't going to pick Rubio. They demolished him, and his sons don't like him. You know, it just how they did Chris Christie all dirty. They just demolished him. That he ain't voting for nobody, he said. They just hurt his feelings. We're looking at a hustle, one of the biggest hustles ever in American history, how Trump took over the Republican Party. Whether we like him or not, whether it's racism or not, but at the end of the day, the man took over the party. He uses the funds for his legal things. It's a hustle. He raises money for his legal cases. It's a hustle. He puts lawyers, he put judges in. It's a hustle. It's one of the biggest hustles we ever seen. And he has a damn near chance on winning. This will go down in history as the biggest hustle.
And one of the groups that will have been counted as one of its biggest victims will be Black people.
No, we're victims of our own.
No,
we don't show up to vote. We don't start businesses. We don't employ ourselves. We have to stop, bro. After a while, we gotta stop. We gotta take care of our own responsibility. The minister said it years ago. America's gonna let us go. And we're not gonna have nothing. We're not gonna have nothing. Because we're too busy wanting to be close to white people, wanting to have integration. Instead of starting our own damn businesses and employing our own people. Every ethnic group does it but us. We have to stop blaming these racist motherfuckers and start looking at ourselves. We know they're racist. We already know that. But what are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about it?
The premise of your answer is that somehow or the other, or at least that's what it seems to me, that, you know, the politics is on one side and the economics on the other, and the reality is the two are integrated.
Yeah, but
two are integrated, and so you have to have a politics that can foster the flourishing of the Black community.
And that's what and that's what Dr. Claude Anderson said when he gave the pyramid. He said, look, you don't get into politics until you have businesses and you have land. And the next step is you buy your politicians like every other goddamn ethnic group does. And if you can't buy them, you rent them. And every ethnic group does it. And AIPAC showed they do it the best. We haven't even got to the business and real estate level. While other ethnic groups are buying their politicians to represent their interests. We haven't even got to that point, Bob. When do we as a people get to that point? Because see, people like Dr. Claude Anderson, all these other people that have studied this over the years, they're not going to be here anymore. And we're still not paying attention. We're still not paying attention. You know who's complaining? You don't hear the Jewish people complaining. You don't hear the Asian people complaining. You don't even hear you don't hear them
complaining about what?
About what's going on. You know why? Because they got in their little corners. They started their own business. They have their little food chain where they could track their food from the farm to the little fucking store they got in their community, and they're buying property. and they're buying property, and they don't even give a shit what happens because they have their thing here. We have to get to that level. Churches should have been building schools decades ago. Instead of building low-income housing, start building some schools. Churches got into the Section 8 business. Instead of getting into building schools for our children. You got a synagogue, you got a school. You got a Catholic church, you got a school. You got a black church, they trying to build Section 8. They trying to be realtors. We got it twisted. We wouldn't have to build Section 8 buildings if we was educating our children properly and making sure they get off to college or teaching them a trade. They'll be making more money. We got it twisted. We got this whole thing twisted, and we're going to lose. Because we're not building our communities. We're not even building our young people. We're teaching them, Bob, to go work for somebody else. That's what we're doing. Instead of building something for ourselves. Because we don't want to offend white people when we do for ourselves.
Well, listen,
come on, man. Like we have to have there's too much land out there. And then we get distracted by these damn actors and entertainers and TikTok and Instagram and all this other foolishness. And none of them are talking about this. As I said before, there's about to be 550,000 openings in plumbing and electricians. And we're not talking about it. And they make more and they make more money, and they make more money than people coming out of college with a master's degree.
See, let me say, David, look at me. A very good paying profession. Look.
But we have to start pushing our people to push that. Because ain't gonna be no black jobs soon. Ain't gonna be no designated black jobs.
Like, I mean, look, so I think we need to put this,
because it's all, Bob, it's all connected. If we don't have
I agree with you. It is all connected. But it's important for us to acknowledge, number one, that this kind of competition almost between a political approach and an economic approach predates us by at least a century. In 1895, in his Atlanta Exposition speech, Booker T. Washington, the first great proponent of the development of black business, essentially begins to lay the foundation for such calls and appeals. And this is followed for another 2 decades. He dies in about 1917, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, he starts a to use the term of the time, Negro Business League. I mean, he's a serious proponent of black businesses. I would argue myself, I mean, many of the programs that advocate for the development of black business, including those by the nation, draw their inspiration partly from Booker T. Washington.
Right, absolutely.
In this area. So absolutely. It's not like this question and the need for a serious economic development strategy has not been top of the agenda before. The question is that one question that's, scholars ask themselves is, well, why, if Booker T was such a strong proponent, why weren't the efforts that were made to develop Black businesses successful? I will tell you, this even reached into New Rochelle. Into Westchester County, because when I did some research for a Black History Month presentation I gave on Black John Edward Bruce, one of the first national Black journalists who relocated to Yonkers, one of the things I discovered, they had a Black business cooperative league that had like 5-6 houses in the night, had a hall and everything. And we're talking about in the 1910s, 1900s. So, but see, this is where because I feel like we're losing this thread. When the Great Depression comes, bro, so much changes. You can't be a business in the same way that you could in the past. You have the consolidation, concentration. What it means to own and operate a business, the amount of capital you got to get, all those things change so radically. So that it's much more challenging today, and the government must have a role.
Bob, we spend $2 trillion on bullshit.
I don't know how much we spend.
That's our purchasing power. The average Black family spends more money, and they have less income, spends more money than the average white family on clothes and bullshit. It's about how we spend our money. It's that we are not taught the science of finance. We're not even taught it properly in church. We missed that point. Pastors, we missed that point. The Judaism religion teaches finance. We have to start teaching finance is godly. We don't teach that. See, it's how we've been taught, Bob. We have enough money. we just spending it on bullshit. And I say I include myself in it too, right? I say I add myself into it. But the older I get, the less I realize. But we have been trained in a wrong way, and we have to figure out, how do we undo that mindset? And our institutions have to change in order for us to survive. I don't care who, Pharrell said it, man. We have to get our house in order. We have to start sharing stuff. We have to have businesses, and we have to start spending without being like it is our duty. Like, other ethnic groups look at it as their duty to buy from their own people. We don't do that. We rather hate on someone who got a clothing store or something like that, and then get mad because their prices, or we want a discount, or do dumb nigga shit that we do, and then
I don't feel so bad now after that.
You know what I'm saying? Like we do it. And it is what it is. Right? The Bible tells us, if you're niggardly, in your sowing, you will be niggardly in your crop. Niggardly. That's what the Bible says. So the Bible tells you not to be a nigger. Basically, y'all might get mad at what I'm saying, but it is what it is. Tell me I'm wrong, but it says that in the Bible. Niggardly. So we are niggardly people because we don't want to invest in the crop of ourselves. We rather invest in the crop of other people. We want to prove. Why would you want to prove Gucci you could spend $50,000 in their store and they don't want you in there? Or the worker treats you. Why would you see? And this has been our mentality since integration. You don't want me in your store? I'm gonna make you take my money. What? Who does that? We're the only group that does that, Bob. Because that's been put in our psyche.
No. I disagree with you. Then
why would you see? Because then why do we? When you look back on it, I don't want to sit. I don't want to force them to feed me food.
Okay, but look, the reality is that the very same people who were calling for the opening of, is that a question? A comment?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. Just say how we do it.
Yeah. I mean, the reality is that those who have called for removal of segregation, constraints, can also simultaneously call for the creation of independent Black institutions. Those things don't have to be opposed. Oftentimes, they must go hand in hand. Calls to desegregate, remove racial barriers in our banking system would be a great example. That's number one. Number two, when you actually look at the lived experience of Black people during the Jim Crow era, when we were prohibited by law from participating fully in the dominant white institutions, oftentimes it wasn't just for the sake of convenience or flattering, but we were denied access to things that were absolutely vital for our survival. The best example of this would be the refusal to treat Black people at all white designated hospitals. Now, you got plenty of Black people who died essentially because they were denied access to timely medical treatment because whites refused to let them access the all-white hospital. And then you had to find a Jim Crow hospital, a Black hospital, and then when you got there, the Black hospital had, it was under-equipped, understaffed. So it led to real discrepancies in the quality. Even something like Black educational institutions, right? Our tax dollars the tax dollars that we were paying into state coffers wasn't even landing in our institutions. Black schools that serve Black people. Instead, they was being funneled into white institutions. So personally, I mean, I do believe, look, we live in a more or less segregated society. I think we need to improve the educational system in the city of Mount Vernon. I don't think we need to desegregate. I don't know how we're going to fix that. We now live in de facto segregation, and although there's market forces, I think most Black people want to live in areas that are majority people of color. I'm not looking to move off to anywhere where I'm like 1 out of 9 people. That doesn't make any sense to me. That isn't where I would be comfortable. But it's not only the case that Black people wanted to be around white people. When you had calls to desegregate movie theaters, it might have been one movie theater in the town. Like, okay, we should build a Black movie theater, but you want me to tell what are we going to do until then? So I think it's like people's motivations the motivation for the call for racial desegregation could not be reduced to the desire of Black people to want to be around whites. Now, some Black people, yes, we might call them.
That's what it turned into, and then the little institutions that we had ended up closing because they rather be at the white institutions, right? So I mean, like we destroyed our own economic. Like, look, I mean, I would love to, I would love to look at it, you know, from a standpoint to what happened if we didn't integrate. What would happen? What would happen as America grew? As America grew, what would happen? What would happen to our business structure if we did, if we wasn't trying to go to white? You know, we would have to be forced to still do our own. And if we get to the point that we were today, and we're the largest consumer, I don't think back then they ever planned for us to be the largest consumer in America. We are the biggest consumer. We have more Mercedes-Benz than white people. And we make a hell of a lot less money, and we have less generational wealth, but we have all the materialism that they have. So, you know, what would happen? What would happen if we were just spending money for ourselves and we was able to have a black Ford and a black Chevrolet and a black Hilton hotel? Because we would have to do it. We would have to no choice.
Yo, look. When the music and recording industry was about to take off, black people, right, started to make forays into the music industry. One of the best known was Black Swan Records, led by Harry Pace, who was associated with the NAACP. They made a serious effort to get into the market on so-called race records, right? They were enjoying success. And you know what happened to them. You tell me what happened to them, Damon, because you know what happened to them.
No, I don't.
Yeah, you do know what happened to them. They became a successful black business, and their white competitors set out to
make the black music.
Destroy them. Actually, like made an all-out assault to try to beat back their entrance into this new emerging sector of the entertainment industry. And the reason I use it because, look, pool your capital. You are certainly, excuse me one moment. Mm-hmm. Oh crap. I'm sorry about that. Like, would you believe, man? Yo, I got a chimney like 5 feet from my window, and it goes off year round. So all this efflux started coming with carcinogens and stuff that's pouring into my room right now. If I fall out, yo, send an ambulance if I fall out. But I mean, look, I mean, for me, so that's why for me, I mean, at the very, I think there's a role for the federal government in any program of black economic advance.
Oh no, there is a role. But the main role is black people, right? We have to. There is a role. Like, I'm not disagreeing with you at that, but the main role is black people doing for themselves. Black people being.
Damon, I want to say I agree with you 100% because I want to just amplify what you said, Joe. We are not maximizing our potential.
No,
that's the thing. See, it's one thing if we maximize on our potential and we continue to yield such meager crops, if you will, yield such meager results. But it's not possible for anyone to say meager crops, if you will, that we go up. AJ, I'm so relieved you're here. David almost caused me a heart attack, man. He got no. D, you gotta stop it.
Listen, man, it's good. It's good. It's good conversation. You know that we have to have because they don't have conversations like this when we're talking about. You know, we're discussing how all this affects black folks, right? And and why? You know, and how do we change it? But we have to change it. Like, I don't want to. I don't care about Project 2025. I'm be honest. See, because there are those communities that no matter who is president, their community still thrive. See, how do we get like that as a Black community? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. How does that happen? We should have been educating our children a long time ago, and instead of worried about the educational system, the failing educational system, because it teaches our children to work for somebody else at this point. Instead of creating a job, creating a service, and servicing the people. We have to even change that. You know, I do believe that God is going to force us. Pharaoh's going to let us go sooner or later. And we're not prepared. We're not prepared. Pharaoh's going to let us go. And we're welcome. Hey, what up?
No, we welcome you, brother. We've been here. Welcome, AJ. It's good to see you.
Yo, I was listening to the beginning. Damon was like, yo, well, you know, I'm here by myself to AJ, you're here. He said, danger. And I was singing, when Damon's on the mic alone, oh my God, danger.
Right. No, and he just got me amped. I probably let my feelings get the best of me.
Yeah, I just walked in the door. Shout out to my homegirl, Tammy Cates and Craig. Tammy's birthday was today. Craig's birthday tomorrow. So we kind of went out for their birthday. But
I should tell you that people were inquiring about your whereabouts.
Yeah, I see Charles Stern said, where's AJ on the loose?
Yeah.
Hey man, you better
don't let Bob and Damon get on alone.
You should have told Tammy she could come to the party. Women free before 11.
I will let her know.
Okay.
I will let her know as soon as the show's over.
Are we announcing where that's taking place, or did you already do that, Damon?
Oh no, I didn't even announce it, man. I don't even have the
location, special locations.
I mean,
hit him in the DM. Hit him in the DM. Hit him in the DM if you're the third, fifth, or seventh.
Yeah. There you go.
You get it free.
No, I'm going to try to find a little flyer, man. Let me keep talking. I'll try to find it. Kenny sent it to me somewhere.
So I know y'all talked about a lot of things. Oh, and before next week's show, so happy birthday to Damon K. Jones, to Tasha Young, and then 2 days later to Dr. Bob. They all have birthdays this week, so it's a busy birthday week. You know what I'm saying? My birthday
will be the Monday after tomorrow.
Okay, so you're after the show.
Yeah, actually.
Okay, so I take that back. We talked about that next week.
No. He's going to be on so we can wish you happy birthday.
Yeah. So I seen y'all gave tribute to I know y'all addressed Herman Keefe. I saw that, and Congressman Sheila Jackson Lee. Did I say it right? Sheila Lee Jackson. Yeah. So
yeah.
Or Sheila Jackson, whatever. Forgive me.
Sheila Jackson Lee.
Jackson Lee, right? Yeah. I was trying to get Jamal to come on and say a couple of words because she was very close to him.
Okay.
But I never heard back from him. So anyway, on to the next one. Yo, wait. No, I don't know what y'all talking about, but I got one thing to say. No disrespect to nobody. The real talk. If an article shows up on Black Westchester and it says written by Damon K. Jones, I don't know why my phone is blowing up. You know what I'm saying?
Man, yo, that's what I got to talk about. Me and Bob.
Right. We're gonna do that, but I don't know why my phone. But it's not this one person. It's everybody. And the person who hit me on Facebook Messenger, and I said, Damon's on Facebook. You could have hit him on Messenger the same way you hit me. The hell you? I've been out the pocket for a minute, y'all know, and I didn't even read the article. So I'm just saying, like, I didn't even know. I couldn't even speak intelligently about it. I don't know what's going on, but I'm just saying, it's amazing how every time Damon writes an article, my phone blows up talking about, oh, I expected more from y'all. From me. You expected more from me. I didn't write it. So, stop that. Talk to Damon. Stop being scared to talk to Damon. Talk to Damon. Damon wrote it. Damon's human. He ain't gonna bite your head off as long as you come respectful. You know what I'm saying? But and this is not just to that one person. It's just I'm tired of it and I get it all the time. And so I'm just saying, like, yo.
Can I ask a question?
What
article did Damon publish that stirred?
We're about to talk about it right now, Bob.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyway, first, this is the party on the 26th, this Friday coming up. Did somebody just call my name? Hold on a second.
Okay.
So anyway, so we're gonna get into that story, but it has something to do with the mayor of Mamaroneck said a bunch of stuff, and the person who hit me said that it was one-sided and nobody called him for his side, and I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Like I didn't know, and rightfully so. I can admit when I'm wrong. I snapped. I snapped. You know what I'm saying? And then I had to be like, my bad for snapping. But dude, like, I ain't write it though. Like, and y'all know I've been out the pocket for a week, so I had nothing. And I stand by my brother. I'm not throwing him under the bus, but it don't say written by AJ Woodson. So why are you saying you expected more from me?
All right, so let's just talk about the party real quick. Friday, July 26th, is at the Coliseum. Ladies, if you're coming, you get in free before 11.
Okay.
Ladies, if you're coming, you get in free before 11. So definitely come on through. It's not just my birthday party. It's other birthday parties. It's also 94.7 The Block. Miss Jones, she's gonna be there. She's the special host for the night.
The radio personality, Miss Jones?
Yeah.
I ain't seen her in years. That's what's up.
Yeah, just come on through. We just gonna have some fun. We're gonna have some fun. All right, enough of that. Let's get to the the Mamaroneck Mayor Sharon Torres exposes alleged corruption in West Hab housing project, shaking Westchester County Village. Now, this is the article. The article is, on YouTube, you have the dictation, whatever they call it.
Right.
Yeah. So I took that and I did an article on it. It was sent to me. I did an article. No, I didn't call anybody else, but I would respond. I have a text message from somebody, and I'll respond to them this week, and they could come on Sunday if they want to, because this is actually a video, right? So, I didn't just make it from hearsay. This article was taken from the video. So let's play the video.
Many residents have stood at that podium and questioned the speed with which the Hunter-Tier lot affordable housing development was moving. In particular, when you compare it to other priorities, it seems to have moved pretty fast. Residents have asked for a slower, more transparent process. They have asked many fair and reasonable questions for which there have been few answers. While I acknowledge that housing affordability is a major problem for all communities across the state and country, I do believe that it is our responsibility as elected officials to look at ways we can legally impact the housing concerns through multiple paths and strategies. I've also questioned the process that we either did or did not follow. I've questioned why we've been so set to give away this property and why one particular developer appeared to be favored. In the last meeting, the board unanimously agreed to allow the village attorney to start negotiating with both developers. Since that time, information has come to light. To me, directly, it did not come to the entire board. And if I had this information sooner, I would not have voted at that time, and I might have asked for the RFP to be avoided or insisted that no negotiations begin. Since that meeting, I've learned some disturbing information about the particular proposal that warrants additional investigation and at the very least appears to be unethical. I'm going to share just a piece of what I have out of respect for the crowd so that we can move a little bit more quickly. So I'm going to paraphrase. In July of 2021, Hunter Tier with village officials took a tour of our municipal parking lots, and they came back with an email that said, the Hunter Tier parking lot is far and away the #1 choice. And then they went on to describe their thoughts on the other sites. They also asked the question about whether or not they could put someone forward to fill a planning board spot. There were emails back and forth from July of 2021 till today. In January of 2022, an RFP draft was submitted to West Hab for technical assistance. By the time we got the actual RFP in 2023, there had been several changes. One of them was a quote, which I'm not going to be able to quote correctly right now, but it basically says that heavier weight will be given to an affordable housing developer who has worked in the village of Mamaroneck. We only have one. Another one was that there had originally been a request to put government offices in, I believe, to move us out of the regatta space and into a new space. That was removed. An item that said increased public parking was changed to provide public parking. So that's just a quick example. I'm going to skip through to a few other emails. West Hab was in an email where they and our prior village manager made the comments, want to keep the momentum going here so we can make our vision a reality. We want to make this work and don't want time to run out on the mayor's time in office. In 2022, there was an email that said, hope we can look to any new trustees to support our mission. There were a number of follow-ups from that January draft RFP. And even when they didn't get a response, they continued to ask us if we wanted any more help on it. There were reviews of RFPs that were much more detailed. None of them were used. In July of 2022, our village manager sent emails out saying, if you don't know, the BOT will be changing 2 members this cycle. We need to be ready for more receptive BOT right out of the gate. In another email, the changing of the composition of the Board of Trustees will make things clearer. And before I go further, I am not accusing anyone on this board of doing anything wrong. I am sharing with you statements and emails from people who don't work here anymore, okay? There were emails that were sent from, Board of Education or anyone in the school board who were then forwarded to other groups for review. In October of 2023, our former mayor sent out an email called Debunking the Latest Misinformation, where he said, we're asking that the new building provides the village with approximately the same number of parking spaces that the Hunter lot currently contains. However, that was never included in the RFP, therefore it was not going to happen in any of the proposals. There's an email from our village manager to West Hab saying, I look forward to our anticipated partnership. And that was in December of 2023. So I have several pages here. I'm not going to read it. I have copies available if somebody wants to take them later. But in the research that I've seen, West Hab was involved in this process from the selection of the property to helping with the draft RFP until now. And I want to be very clear about a couple of things. Every single person on this board, and that includes me, we do understand there's a crisis with affordable housing. I'm not going to argue that with anybody. Anyone who's come to me and said that there isn't, I have had conversations. That's not what's under fire here. That's not what's in question. It's whether or not the process for this RFP was ethical, unethical, or even worse. And just the appearance of impropriety. adds to the divide that we have in this community when we need to come together because we have safety issues, we have flooding, and we do have an affordability crisis. We all know that. If you have a house here, you know it's less affordable to live here. If you're trying to move in, you know it's less affordable and it's harder to move in here. So this is not me saying I don't want affordable housing because I don't want that coming back later that's what the point was. The point is the process seems flawed. And as I have more information, I will share that with you.
So they're going to hold some town hall meetings, and so that literally goes against the text message.
So the person, now I know who this is. The person who hit me, his name is Rich Nightingale. He is the CEO of West Hab.
Okay, so what is he talking about? She doesn't want housing. She already made the statement. It's not about housing. It was about the process.
So what he exactly said, and in fairness, I'll just read the short part he said. He said, the Mamaroneck article you posted is inaccurate and extremely one-sided. I would have expected for you to reach out to our side before publishing. Mayor Torres has been ridiculously campaigning against our organization because she really doesn't want affordable housing, and she attacked 2 Black village trustees as well.
So respond respond to him and ask him to come on the show.
Okay.
Ask him to come on the show because he has to explain that. Because first of all, she said it's not about affordable housing. They need affordable housing. It's about the process. It's about the process.
Absolutely. I will let him know.
We could come on next Sunday.
I want to say
Go ahead, Bob.
We know that our municipal government contracting system has been riven with corruption for decades. So, as soon as the governments get their money involved in any of these services and begin to contract outside entities to take on, invariably there are efforts to game the system. What I found disturbing, and I would like to hear the CEO of West Hab address this, is the mayor's contention that West Hab was involved in the drafting of the RFP. As everyone knows, the request for proposal. The RFP lays out the ground rules that for the assessment of any proposals that have been submitted, what are the major requirements? And it does give people a leg up if future contractors get to actually write the language of the RFP. Now, I say this because this has actually come up in some of the efforts that our coalition has broadly been involved in recently around some of the climate and clean energy grants that we've applied for. And organizations like NYSERDA and others are trying to find ways to get communities that have been marginalized, not have participated in the whole process, an opportunity to participate and to earn some money. And one way that they do so is they want assistance in drafting RFPs, right? But the condition for serving as a technical assistant to draft an RFP is that you are ineligible by the very process itself of vying for the money that's covered by your RFP. So I am certain any of us would look at this and say there's a potential conflict of interest. I don't think it takes a genius to figure that, to conclude that if the public became aware that the entity that applied for the grant had written an RFP, it would create an appearance of conflict of interest or impropriety. And so I think that it's now incumbent on West Hab to actually provide some evidence that they did not draft the RFP, or at least to clarify how it is that the mayor could have reached this conclusion. And this is important because even though it's in Mamaroneck, we have a stake in affordable housing. Shit, some of us, Damon.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, some people, right? If I wish more affordable, I mean, this is my view, but I know it's not without controversy. I wish some of those affordable housing dollars, more of them, will come to communities that have not historically opposed the development of affordable housing, largely because they have many of their residents are Republicans. What did I say about them before, Damon?
Mm-hmm.
They in some respects don't want black people there. So I wish brown people there. So some of that money might come back, but that's also problems.
Some of it ain't even color. It's poor people. They don't want poor people there.
Right.
There's poor white people too.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. But mostly it's persons of color.
Yeah. I don't think they really thinking about. They ain't thinking about someone from Appalachia moving into Mamaroneck anytime soon. But no, there's poor people all over. But I mean, you want me to tell what? On his face, it seems like a legitimate ground of concern, and certainly, though you may hear from the CEO of West Hab, I don't think it was inappropriate to publish this breaking news. And
No,
that's how you have follow-up articles.
And the mayor, first off, the mayor of the village made this statement at a public meeting.
Right.
So it's news. No different than if News 12 came to your city council meeting or village board meeting and reported what they was talking about at the meeting. That's what we ain't saying it's true or not true or anything. The mayor said these things. That is news. She is the head person of that village, and this is what accusation she's making. Now, I did send. Mm-hmm. Last time Rich hit me was 6:10. I did respond back, inviting him, letting him know we played the video, we discussing it, and inviting him to come and address what the mayor is talking about. So, Rich, I'm sure you'll see this or hear that, and I sent you a message.
I saw your the link that you shared to the article, and when I read the headline, it piqued my attention, and I started to look at it then a couple of hours ago. So I deemed it personally to be newsworthy.
Right. See, that's and let me just be clear for the new people, for the people that I don't know, just for some reason don't know how things go. Just because you're on the other side of it and you might not like what is said does not make it not newsworthy. Reporting that a high elected official in that city made these accusations is newsworthy. Now you will have a chance to come on and to address it, but it no one said. Now be clear, Black Westchester didn't say Rich West Hab did all this stuff. Nobody. We reported what the mayor said at a public meeting, the village meeting, which is public. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yo, it's not like this was something behind closed doors and we just happened to get a secret tape and exposed or something, but this is a public meeting. So, again, he can come on and speak. And we went back and forth a little bit because I did give him a little gas because it had less to do with him, and he was just happened to be the 100th person that contacted me about a Damon article and didn't contact Damon. And I was just like, yo, and just because I was out the box for the last week, that ain't one of the first things I need.
And I can tell y'all, this is not the first time I have heard AJ complain about getting calls that should be directed to Damon.
I mean, same thing, you know, and it goes both ways because Damon used to be at work, and somebody would be like, yo, you reported something. He's like, what the hell are you talking about? It was something that I reported. Damon didn't even know that I reported it. You know what I'm saying? It had something to do with the jail. Damon didn't even know that I reported it. So, I mean, it happens. You know what I'm saying? But Damon can speak for himself. Damon is not shy. Damon doesn't duck questions. So if you having something to say about something he wrote, address him. Now, if you want to criticize something I wrote, let's talk.
I mean, well, let me just piggyback a little bit on that too, AJ, because Black Westchester invested major capital in upgrading its website, and it allows for one of the components that I know you guys put in there because y'all shared it with me was the ability to allow for a more fulsome exchange with the readers. So it would have been totally appropriate for the CEO to actually write a response in the comment section that would have allowed him to take a first stab at trying to correct any inaccuracies there or to get the dialogue going. So there is an opportunity for feedback, and it's just simply not always possible.
No, it's all right. We're going to invite.
But it's not you to, what Bob is saying, though, people have a lot to say. They don't say it there. That's
right. You could have just said it, Damon.
That's the point that is there for you to leave your feedback. In several editorials, I ask you for your feedback. Pro or con, what do you think? We want to hear what the people think. So, and it's up to you to exercise. Instead of writing something on Facebook, write it there, right under the article, so everybody who see it can see it, and we can have this dialogue going back and forth and address certain situations. You write it on Facebook.
Well, then he needs to, but he texts you like he know you.
We have met.
Okay.
No, because he did say that. He said in the later text that we had met and he felt comfortable being frank with me. It's just that he caught me on a day that he just caught me.
Well, all right. Well, then you could invite him to come on the show.
We did. I extended the invitation verbally and to him.
Yeah, just come on the show. And
but what Bob was talking about was just a broader thing for everybody else listening. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, like, why not just respond? Why not write a comment to your article, Damon? He could have done that.
Because
I mean, it's okay for him to contact.
We are not living in the time frame of men. We are not. You know, and I say that to say masculinity is missing. It's becoming a dying breed, and I'm not saying to be disrespectful. You know, like you have to have like toxic masculinity and just be disrespectful to people, right? You just have to be a goddamn man, and we respect that. I mean, it's also missing in the Democratic Party. Yes. Masculinity, and this is one of the reasons, Bob. And I don't want to be on with you another 3 goddamn hours talking about.
JJ, extend the clock by an hour. Yo, there's no real masculinity in the Democratic Party.
Right, but can I say something about this though? I will say this about what Rich did. One of my pet peeves is if you know how to contact me and you decide to call me out on Facebook instead of contacting me, it's not going to go well. So he did do what I said you should do. Only I wasn't the person he needed to talk to because I hadn't read the article. I was out the box. So I was like, I was gone for about 2-3 weeks. So anyway, I'm back. Now I'm here. We're going to address it from this point on. But he did contact me because he met me and he didn't blast me on Facebook or try to call me out. He sent me a personal message on Messenger. So for that, I do give him something because my pet peeve is if he had decided to just write Black Westchester, writes inconsistent, such and such, blah, 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 and you didn't contact me, it was going to be way worse. like I was like, you know how to contact me and you didn't. So he did try to contact me. It's just, I'm not the one who wrote it. And I didn't know I couldn't speak on it. So I just saw the video for the first time, like some of the viewers that are watching this and I'm going to watch it. I just saw the video for the first time. I do know there was some stuff going on. There's more than that going on in Mamaroneck. I do know that I've been hearing about some stuff, but nobody gave me nothing. They just been talking about stuff, but nobody gave me nothing.
Well, this came across my lap, and I listened to it, and I said, "Oh man!" So I got the minutes off the man, YouTube is great. You just pull up minutes.
Right. It gives you the whole thing. It gives you the whole rundown if you ask for it. Yeah.
Run that shit through AI and do an article. That's it. Say do an article from these minutes, and it does the article just like that, man. Like boom, 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 bam. Put the video in, and it's a wrap. So it's not my words. It's all her words, and you know, and I make it clear you can never use that black stuff against me because they're two black trustees. But if they're crooked, then they should be held accountable, even if they're black.
Also, the last thing I said to him, if she attacked two black trustees, why am I one of the pieces of the major black media in Westchester just hearing about this? Why weren't we contacted when she supposedly violated these two black? Why weren't we contacted then?
We got contacted when she started poking fingers and saying somebody's doing something illegal, and the article went up. You know, Malcolm always said when you throw a rock in a bunch of dogs, the only one that's going to holler is the one who got hit.
But that is how the saying goes. That is,
you know, it is what it is, man. But I mean, come on, man. Like, you know, you could just invite him to come on the show. Like, shit. You invite him to come on the show, and he could explain everything. And I hope you hear Bob, because you know about all that RFP stuff, man, and the legal stuff, because then he has to answer those questions, and it's going to be on record. So the feds do listen. They'll be taking some of Black Westchester footage.
Oh yeah. That has happened. We laughing and joking. We've seen the AG's office before this current AG actually indict someone, and half of the things they were talking about we were the only person who wrote those stories when nobody else was writing them stories. So they do pay attention.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe we'll get another Power 100 off of this one.
West Hap do bring in a lot of money, don't they? A lot of money flows through the coffers of West Hap.
I know.
And listen, for the record, Black Westchester is not saying that West Hap did anything wrong at this point. We reported what the mayor said. We're inviting the CEO to come on and as he said, tell his side of the story and how she is misrepresenting his organization. And we will go from there. And then we'll have you on record. And if what you're saying is not accurate, then you're on record. Right. If what she said is not accurate, she's on record. She did a video. So, the truth is going to come out. So I know y'all addressed everything. Y'all addressed.
Nah, we didn't address everything. We didn't address everything, man. Don't let Damon tell you that.
What else is left, man? We said we talked about everything that I posted. We talked about Kamala. We talked about Trump.
Yes.
And
so I want to hear from the viewers, the people who watch this show, and the people who are going to watch this video via one of the media outlets social media formats or on the website. So Biden has officially stepped down. He officially endorsed Kamala Harris. She officially has now accepted his endorsement. For you Democrats out there, that especially y'all said that all y'all were crying, Biden can't run, he can't win, he got it. But now that he has, how do you feel about Kamala Harris as the nominee now? And it doesn't matter like what the three of us says. We would only be 3 votes. I want to hear what the people have to say. Y'all vote. I want to hear what y'all have to say. I want to hear from y'all. What do y'all think about this? Contact us. Either email blackwestchester@gmail.com. This will be on the website. As Bob said, leave a comment, and I will put this under the video. And you leave a comment whether you support her, or you don't, and why. And the second part of that is, if you don't think that she's the nominee, then who? Because see, that whole Biden got to go. That's like Nancy Reagan. Oh, just say no. You telling people just say no. What the hell are we supposed to say yes to? So Biden got to go. Who the hell are we supposed to put up? Like, I mean,
they don't. I don't even think. Well, they said that she's gonna have to go to the convention and earn her.
She still has to go to the convention.
So we don't know who's gonna pop up. We really don't. But you know what? As we always say,
but she's supposed to be able to. If he endorsed her, whatever numbers he had, whatever you call that, I think that goes to her. But
he can recommend.
Recommend, right? That's all.
Yeah.
But they can change. But they can change because
the delegates are not automatic.
Right, they can change at the convention.
Yeah, she's going to have to lobby, and let's just see. And I doubt that anybody else, because the Obama's going to. Well, I mean, black people get so emotional, about the process. Oh, well, Obama's letting it go to the convention. No, it has to go to the convention. Obama is not letting it go to the convention. It has to go to the convention.
Right, like he doesn't have the power to stop.
Black people, like sometimes
Obama don't have the power to stop it from going to the convention.
Right, it has to go to the convention. It's just stupid. Like we got to learn the political process. Like in all
that goes both sides. Like they just had the RNC, even though Trump was the only person. Until they made that official at the convention, right. He is now officially the nominee. Right. You know what I'm saying? But up till that point, if there was somebody brave enough to come to the challenge, they could have.
Even as I told Bob earlier, even as I realized that the RNC is the new Trump corporation, they still had to go. They still had to go through the process.
Right.
They still had to go through the process.
Right.
He has his kids all in there, bro, and now he's setting up. He's setting up his grandkids.
His daughter-in-law is the head of the RNC now.
No. I think she's the vice chair.
Oh, I thought she was the president. I thought she was the head.
No. I think she's the vice chair. But soon she's going to be the chair, right? So we already know that, right? Once he's become president, it's business. He's one of those evilest businessmen. He's going to kick the dude to the curb, and she's going to be, and she's going to be. But he's setting up his whole family. And if you didn't notice when you looked at him, it was nothing but his family.
Yeah,
on the stage with him.
Yeah, it's the Trump Corporation.
A comedian had brought that out. He was like, "This is basically like you go into a job interview. You know what I'm saying? And at the job interview, usually bring up your references. The people who have worked with you." All the people who have worked with him, none of them were there.
No,
none of the people who worked with him in the White House before, none of them.
He's going to officially make it a family affair this time, and because that's going to cut out the leaks. It's going to come out the backstabbing. He's going to pardon what's his face with the bad skin. What's the white guy?
Not Bannon.
Bannon. Yeah, Bannon's in jail.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, he's going to pardon Bannon. That's going to be one of the first things he do if he get elected. He's pardoned. But Bannon might be out. I think he only got 6 months anyway.
Right. Yeah. He didn't have a whole bunch.
Yeah. He's probably be out before Trump swears in. But at the end of the day, I hope that the Democrats get on message. I hope they stop pushing about her being a prosecutor, because that's going to turn a lot of black men off. It's like some of the language that they're using. Not everybody is intelligent to separate it. I advise stop talking about the felons, because there's a lot of black men with felonies. Stop throwing that up in the air. Run on what you're going to do. Run on how you're going to change. Don't run that prosecution stuff, because even black law enforcement didn't support her when she was picked as the vice president, because of things that happened in California. as her as AG. And I talked to the organizations and they were disgusted. So what I'm saying is for the Democrats to run a race, please run on what you're going to do for the people. Run on that.
One of our platforms need to be the women's rights. Right? The right that's a big deal.
Exactly. Run on what you're going to do for the people.
She could sell that a lot better than Biden evidently wasn't
exactly
doing a good job.
Exactly.
And as a woman, she can sell that a lot better.
Exactly. The difference between Obama's so great, he created hope that it will be some change. So people thought it was going to be changed. Black community remained the same. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. But he created hope. They have to start creating hope again. Instead of Trump, create hope. Instead of doom and gloom, because that turns people off.
You know what I found interesting, though? The little bit that I did see, they were showing the key people, Nancy, the Obamas, Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries. They all said whatever they said about Biden. They all congratulated Biden. They all said whatever they said, and none of them mentioned Kamala Harris. And it's funny because it's like, sometimes you got to listen to what people say and what they don't say.
Well, AOC.
Obama gave this whole dissertation about how the job Biden did and all this and everything else and moving everything forward and everything. And Kamala Harris' name didn't get mentioned once.
Well,
so,
AOC called it.
Absolutely.
She said there are plans that Kamala is not going to be the candidate. She said it. She said they don't want Kamala. So I don't know who they're going to pick. The Democrats in New York, as usual, eat their own. And I'll say it today. I said the best person should have run against Trump was Andrew Cuomo, because he would have went toe to toe. You might disagree, Bob. I agree. I think Andrew Cuomo would have fucking handed to him. But they dirtied him up, because Tish wanted that seat, and then she fell on her face. And I
will say this about Andrew Cuomo. I've never been a fan of the Cuomos, period. But I will say this about Andrew Cuomo. Everything that he was accused of and all the investigations, nothing came about any of them. They all went away. None of them. What are you looking at me, Bob?
I'm trying. I want to hear you explain what exactly went away. He was not charged with a crime. He was not charged. Andrew Cuomo was not charged with a crime.
But wasn't there lawsuits?
And the lawsuit from the
there was
what was she, a state trooper? That lawsuit I think is over. I don't know if she withdrew it or got thrown out or whatever. But I'm saying if he did all the things that they said he did, he was under investigation and there was no indictments, but he was guilty until proven innocent. Again, I'm speaking as someone, I wasn't a fan of him and I wasn't a fan of his father. I don't think but I had more respect for his father than him. But I wasn't a fan of either one of the Cuomos. I liked how he handled the daily briefings during COVID.
The Democrats does not have a bench. They do not have a bench. And I called this years ago. These Republicans were getting younger and younger. And that means they had more lifespan, shelf time. Democrats don't have a bench. They keep recycling. And this is why you're losing young people. They got to get a bench. And they don't want younger people because their ideology is different. And they want to hold on to this bullshit that they're holding on to. And then they wonder why young people don't come out and vote. They have to get a bench. They have to start. They have to start allowing young people to be part of the political process. We voted out a 48-year-old man for a goddamn 70-year-old man in District 16. What is he going to do? So if you didn't want Biden, then you should get the rest of them old motherfuckers out too. Or you just a hypocrite.
So Bob, my wording might have been wrong. The charges, the investigation, yeah. Give me a minute. The charges were dropped.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The charges were dropped. The criminal complaint against Cuomo was dropped that he wouldn't face any charges. 3 days later, another judge dropped the criminal charges against him. And January 5th, the last of the 5 criminal charges had been pursued were dismissed. So
yeah,
but I'm saying so. But he was guilty. He had the whole Democratic Party coming after him. Everybody was calling for him to step down. 120 New York State legislators, the majority leader.
See, but
Nancy Pelosi, the mayor,
that's the difference.
Blasio, Eric Adams.
That's the difference. That's the difference between Republicans and Democrats. A Republican ain't stepping down for shit. Find me guilty, then I'll step down. How many Democrats was accused with something and they stepped down, and then a year later they found it wasn't even accurate? What was the comedian that became a senator or a congressman?
Al Franken.
Al Franken. They did that to Al Franken.
But look, Al Franken did not resign because he didn't do anything. Now, he might have felt that in retrospect, what he did do was minor, that the reports in the media were overblown. But the idea that he just stepped down because someone accused him of something and there was absolutely no.
So what was the reason he stepped down then?
He stepped down because he had made himself vulnerable. He made himself vulnerable to charges of sexual harassment by what he did. And he did not want to, he couldn't deny it outright. Something went wrong. Maybe in retrospect, he shouldn't have stepped down. That was the feeling at the time. Look, you know what? Yo, listen, I'm gonna say something about this sexual harassment stuff because we keep on coming back to this shit. And I'm gonna tell you, if y'all want to have a conversation right now, we can have this conversation. But I want to tell you something. People who are sexually harassed and abused may not want to share it with other folks.
No, I'm not. No. Look, I'm not making light of sexual harassment. I'm making the weaponization of it. Right? The weaponization of it I'm making there's a point that it can be weaponized against political figures who really mean nothing by it. And it can be. Dude, you could let me explain something to you, bro. Let me just explain. Let me explain something to you, Bob, and you should know this. You should know this.
Yeah.
You could be talking to AJ, and I'm a woman, and I'm in another room. You don't even know I'm in there. And y'all talking men talk. And I could go to HR and put a charge on you.
If you create if you create,
yeah.
Me and AJ is sitting there talking about
exactly. So we
for the record, AJ don't do that. Usually I listen to Bob when he does it. No, I'm just playing.
but that's what I'm saying, man. Like it could easily be weaponized when you're not even mindful of the door being open, another woman in another room, and she hears what y'all talking about. Right. So we also have to be mindful of that. And yes, they did go out their way and use that against Cuomo and that fake ass report because Tish James and them had other alternatives. And she proved it when she decided that she put a hat in the ring to run for governor, but she forgot where she got her money from was Cuomo's people, and they shut the door in her face. Then she had to withdraw her name because she couldn't raise no money. So, I mean, we have to be mindful of that, man. You know, and I tell young brothers and sisters, especially when I was working, yo, don't do nothing. If you don't, I don't play. You can't play that. You can't play the huggy-duggy. You can't play the walking up on them and touching their shirt. You can't play none of that.
Right.
So this was over an article he wrote in Playboy.
Who?
You talking to us, AJ?
Al Franken.
No, I don't think that's
No, you serious?
In May 2020, in May 2008, the Minnesota Republican Party released a letter about an article Franken had written for Playboy magazine titled Porn-O-Rama. The letter is signed by 6 prominent GOP women, including state senators and state representatives, called on Franken to apologize for what they called demeaning and degraded article. His campaign spokesperson responded, Al had a long career as a satirist, and he understands the difference between blah, blah, blah.
right.
So
That may be true, but I just also looked it up. A woman accused him of giving her an unwanted kiss in 2006.
You know, so here's two sides of the coin.
Right. Mm-hmm.
For many years, women have made accusations and they weren't believed, and they were villainized and they were attacked. And I understand that and I respect that. Two things can be true. For many years, men have been accused of things that they didn't do. Some have gone to jail for. I have a personal friend. I can't think of his name. Somebody Bob probably knows too, because went to high school with him. He got accused. He got accused of something.
Yo, Bob got forced out of Black Westchester.
No, seriously. Somebody we went to school with got accused of something, and he didn't do it, and it got found out that he didn't do it, and he went to jail for it. So we do know people who have gone to jail and have lost jobs because of false accusations, and some people just coming for a paycheck. So both of those things are true. Unfortunately, that's the way we live now. So now, after the Me Too era, an accusation made you guilty until proven innocent. Some of these people were guilty. Let me be clear. A lot of the people we all know they were guilty, but some of these people, like just the mere accusation, made them guilty until proven innocent. For every action, there's a reaction. That was the reaction to all the women who weren't believed before. You know what I'm saying? So there's a problem on both sides of the scenario. You understand what I'm saying? And that's what all of this stems from. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah, but I mean, that is true, AJ, but I think it is important for us to point out that the rules of evidence for the court of public opinion are not the same as a court of law. I, as a citizen, make decisions about, various subjects based on the information that's available to me through, our public media, and those standards may not be as rigorous as the court of law, but I can draw conclusions. There's no sense in having public media and stuff. Everything can't go to court to be adjudicated. I mean,
well, I understand that, but people are being tried in the court of public opinion and not the court of law. We've gone to that extreme. And then in some of these cases, and I'm saying some, not the majority, but some of these cases, it turns out that the person didn't do nothing.
Yeah,
but they're already ruined, though. They're ruined. Like there's no coming back from that in most cases. You know what I'm saying? And I started out, before anybody said anything, I understand where this stems from. For years, women were vilified. They were attacked. They were accused of lying. They were victimized all over again for coming out. And that's why some women won't come out. You know what I'm saying? So that is an important, I meant that make that distinction first. That is important to put out there. So there is that problem, but we have gone in some cases too far on the other side too. That everybody, even people that are lying, need to be. You should have some kind of proof for things that you're saying. People are making accusations with no proof, and people's careers and stuff is over, and their livelihoods is over.
That is so. Look, for one, there's a price when you do that, and that's called defamation. When you defame someone, they can hold you liable in a court of law. We've seen a couple of instances of suits that were filed as a result of claims that were made that stirred up public controversies that ultimately may not have proven to be true. I mean, I could give one or two examples, but I do think our defamation laws are designed. They're a safeguard, though an imperfect safeguard against that. But I also think that there's a problem with, it would be, I think, too much to say that I can't give you a news story, right? If I come to you, AJ, all I have is I didn't videotape it or something happened to me. I don't have any evidence other than my experience of it. Now, you as a journalist, I tell you, you can examine it. As a journalist, you just can't accept my word, so you should find some sort of corroborating evidence. But
social media eliminates the need to do that. People that things get out on social media that don't live up to those standards, and those things go out wider and farther and quicker. I mean, that's just what the day and age we live in. I'm just keeping it real. Like we having real talk, this is real talk.
I mean, those are legitimate.
The system is fucked up on both sides. Like I'm just saying, it's a very imperfect system. There's no, and for the one or two women who actually lie, they make it bad for the women who are telling the truth. Just like that friend Juicy Smollett. When he lied, it make it bad for gay people that have attacks because he lied. So some people are not going to take somebody serious because he publicly made this whole big thing and made a big story, and the whole community came behind him, and then they found out that he was supposedly lying. Like that hurts for the next attack of an LGBTQ person. That's a major situation. That hurts that whole situation. So when a woman lies, it hurts that situation too. So I'm just putting it out there because sometimes we don't have that part of the conversation. Right. You know what I'm saying? And then you got people like Donald Trump who's found guilty, who's still singing Shaggy songs. Wasn't me. But we caught you on camera. Wasn't me. Wasn't me. You know what I'm saying? He gonna say it wasn't him did a different. He died. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yo. But yeah.
Yes. Well, listen, I know you extended the show.
Well, yeah, I showed up an hour plus late. Yeah. Anything else nobody wanted before we go? Any topics we want to talk about, or anything we didn't address? I know y'all addressed a lot before I got on, so I'm not going to rehash all of that stuff. But I do want to hear from the people about Kamala Harris. I want to hear from the people that follow Black Westchester what you think of her as the Democratic candidate for president. Do you support that? Yes. Why? Do you think she's not a good candidate? Why? I want to hear from the people. Yo, everybody always has so much to say on the phone. When I see you in the street,
I want to know, are y'all going to vote in higher rates in the presidential election than you did in the past Democratic primary? Because see,
See this because we are trained.
Yes, they are, because the black women are gonna come out on some black women vote, and they're gonna come out on some big major. Everybody get behind it.
And ain't nobody show up for the black man. Yo, I can't wait to see the numbers in District 16.
Well,
I really can't.
We just wait for Bob to finish his pie chart, and we just.
I'm sorry, y'all.
I just can't wait.
That's a long story, AJ.
No, I know. I just want to put that out there.
I can't wait to see the numbers.
But Bob is working diligently on it.
Yes,
He's tearing it apart. He's digesting it and putting it together and
but here's let me,
so everybody can understand it.
Let me another sad thing. You know what? I'm not even gonna say it right now, man. Because you know why? Because I'm just disgusted in how we look at things, and you and AJ, you wasn't here. The absence of black people in politics that benefited from Herman Keith was disturbing.
I heard that from I've heard that, and younger people too, but the
younger people.
Wait, and I'm going to say this specifically. There are a lot of young and younger county legislators, present and past, black ones, huh? Who
they didn't make it?
Who because of this man and Ernie Davis, because they did it at the same time, because of them, they made it possible for you to even be elected as a county legislator. Plus, he was on the ground. He was civil rights. He was an advocate. He was all those things. He did so much, especially for the Yonkers community, but for black people, period. You know what I'm saying? And for any young, and I'm speaking specifically for young, for black county legislators, past and present. I'm speaking to some that are not there no more. If y'all weren't there, especially if you from Yonkers, and I'm specifically talking about one particular person, dude, I can't respect that. Like, this is the dude who paved the way for you. He made it possible for you. Before him, there was nobody that looked like you in that office, in them chambers. And he did the work. He wasn't just a face in the place. Like, he was about it. Like, he was that dude. Like, that's why I said Herman Keith was a true Black Westchester legend. Not Black Westchester Magazine, Black Westchester, a Black Westchester legend. So, so for all, and that's to the county exec, but for all of you young elected officials, people like him paved the way for you to even be able to be elected in the positions that you have. Like, we have to respect those who came before us. Like, you know what I'm saying? And dude, it costs you nothing to just show your face. You ain't got to say no words. Just pay your respects. It costs you nothing to pay your respects. Right. And I was very disappointed. I couldn't be there for health reasons, but Damon represented for Black Westchester. But I was disappointed in hearing all the names. And for this, all intents and purposes, I won't call you out today, but I know a lot of your names. For hear the names of the people who did not show up, I was very disappointed in some of y'all. For real talk, man. I mean, we talk about this pro-black. We talk about all this black stuff. You talk about all of this and all of that. But when somebody like that, a giant, passes, and y'all don't even come show your respects, I think that's whack. Period. Go ahead, Damon.
Nah, man. Hey, listen. It is what it is. It is what it is. We're gonna close out, and
I want to give a shout out to shout out to New Rochelle. They put together another successful concert in the park. It was reminiscent, Damon, of the things we grew up on. A nice party in the park. It was no violence. It was everybody there. Mad acts came and performed, new acts, all the legendary acts, nice and smooth. Jeff Red killed it. They had Horace Brown, Rel, they had the Brand Nubians, the whole Brand Nubians together. I mean, they killed. It was just peaceful. I went last year. I couldn't go this year. Yo, I haven't seen nothing like this since back in like the 80s when we used to have these big block parties and park parties and before that, and it was all peace and it was all love and people came from everywhere. It wasn't, and this the second year in a row New Rochelle did this. And I think we talk about now if 3 people got robbed and 5 people got shot, we wouldn't stop talking about that event. I think I needed to talk about it because of this as well. And I need to promote it and shout to LaShawn from Sugar Plum. She was largely behind putting this together and getting the city to fund it. So I just wanted to give them a shout out. They had it this past Saturday. It was I got pictures and stuff coming, pictures and video. I'll put it up on the website. But I just wanted to shout it out. We need more stuff like that. This was community. This was hip hop. This is culture. This is what we all came from. Like young guys like Andrew Wang was like, yo, he was so amazed. I'm like, yo, Andrew, this is what we grew up on. This is how it used to be. He was so envious that he never lived in that era that experienced that because this is the first time he experienced something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like he couldn't stop talking about it. Well, Bob, you know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to shout that out. We gotta uplift. News 12 wasn't there. You ain't gonna read about this great event on News 12 or LoHud or none of that. So Black Westchester got to just give it, a few minutes and uplift it. So shout to them. This is their second year. They're doing it annually. Last year they had Mr. Cheeks from the Lost Boys and CL Smooth performed, and it's just amazing. And they gave the young dudes coming up and young guys and girls and they paid tribute to the legends like Grand with Mr. DST and some of those guys and stuff. So shout to them for putting that together. I just wanted to put that out there, and that's all I have to say until I'm out. So that's it for me.
I would have attended, however, I was at home
crunching the numbers.
Yeah. So hopefully I'll be done tonight.
Well, you did your due diligence to make sure I got home from where I was at, and then you went back home and crunched the numbers. So I appreciate that too.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
All right, yo, I want to hear. I'm going to post this on Black Westchester. I'm going to post it. I'm going to post at the bottom of it. How do you feel about her being a presidential candidate? Do you support it? Do you not support it, and why? And I hear all of this talk. People want to call me. People want to text me. They want to know what I think. They want to have a conversation. We want to hear from you on the website. We want to hear from you so everybody can see it, so we can all have and see if our community supports it. You know what I'm saying? If we support, if not, then if you don't, why? I'm not saying you have to. I'm just saying, do you support her for presidential campaign candidate? Why? And if so, why? And if not, why? And then if not her, then who would you suggest? We can't keep complaining and we don't talk about. We're not making no suggestions on you know what I'm saying, or nothing like that. So I'm going to put that out there. I'm putting a charge to all our readers and listeners to do it. Now, whether y'all do it or not, that's on y'all. But I'm just saying, that's how we got to gather information, and that's how we got to see. We hear what the MSNBC is telling us, and what CNN is telling us, and every other. Black Westchester want to know what our community thinks. They don't talk about our community. What does our community feel? That's what we want to hear. So I can do one of those reports saying, well, 70% of our community and readers in Westchester County say that she can win and they support her, or 68% says, oh hell no. Whatever it is, we want to share it like everybody else do, but we want to have the numbers for our community, and I think that's very important. You know what I mean? And we're trying to do more stuff like that. So participate. Yeah, politics is a participatory sport. Damon, close us out.
You're on mute, T.
Oh yeah, he is on mute. Yeah.
We out. Peace.
Peace, yo.
22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. Today, and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it. And are not